What's going on, YouTubers? It's SpazPhoenix, your YWC reality check, and I will warn you, this is not going to be the most positive video I have ever done. This pretty much is the downside of the internet. Because of the internet, we have the YWC. Because of the internet, we have the IWC. Because of the internet, we can go and look up our favorite superstars, wrestlers, divas, knockouts, whatever, find out, where they came from and what they've done in other companies, etc., etc. But also at our fingertips, we have every single possible mistake that they've ever made. Now, that's no more true or less true than when we talk about people that violate TNA and WWE's wellness policy. The biggest story this week in wrestling, Rey Mysterio suspended for 60 days because he violated the wellness policy. Supposedly he's on steroids and a bunch of other things. I'm not going to say what he's on, what he's not on. I'm not going to stick up for him, and I'm not going to shit on him. Every person, and this is only my take on it, every person out there in the world, be they a wrestler, be they, Joe Blow on the street, that has a drug or alcohol related problem needs two things. They need a really violent wake-up call, and they need sympathy. They need a violent wake-up call, and as far as somebody taking them by the shoulders, shaking them and being like, hey, you're being a fucking moron right now. And they need the sympathy of somebody to come along and say, look, man, I really hope you pull yourself through this because, either because you're my friend or my family or whatever, or because, hey, we'd love to see you in the ring again. We love what you do. See, everybody with a substance abuse problem, I think, needs both of those things. The big problem with wrestlers and, superstars and us here in the YWC is based on who we like and who we don't like. One person will get one and one person will get the other, and it's very rare, very, very rare that anybody gets both, which is ridiculous. The fact that somebody comes up to me and says, hey, what do you think of Rey Mysterio's suspension, is ridiculous. It's what do you think of suspension in general, because Rey Mysterio, I shouldn't treat Rey Mysterio any different than I treat anybody else that has a problem. Like, there shouldn't be a specific scenario for Rey Mysterio breaking the rules. There shouldn't be, for example, I'm not saying anything about anybody, there shouldn't be anything different about, John Cena breaking the rules or The Undertaker breaking the rules. There would be, and I mean, they would get different consideration because of where they are on the card and where they are of importance in the company, whatever, and I get that. But generically speaking, it shouldn't be, okay, what do you think of this guy's suspension? Because this guy's suspension is different from all the rest. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about today. The double standard in the YWC, or maybe not even double standard, there's like 3 or 4 different standards when in the YWC when it comes to grading people. And a lot of it comes just out of who you're a fan of, who you respect, and who you don't give a shit about. Examples I'm going to give you today. Hawk, Road Warrior Hawk, had his demons. They eventually led to his unfortunate demise. I had a shit ton of respect for the Legion of Doom back in the day, and I still do now. But because he's passed away from his demons, now he's sort of enshrined, and he's sort of impervious to anybody's, judgment or anything along those lines. So now nobody will say a damn bad thing about Hawk, even though he made some mistakes in his life. I'm not judging him for that, but the guy wasn't perfect. But now it's, because he's passed away, we can't. Nobody's going to shit on a guy that's passed away, and there's some propriety to that. Eddie Guerrero is another example. Eddie Guerrero had all kinds of issues that I wasn't even fully aware of when he was alive, but he overcame them, and he was celebrated for overcoming them, and that is what you should do. Take the positive, recognize what he's been through, sympathize with the guy, and celebrate with him when he overcomes them. That's a great example. Chris Benoit is another horrible example. There are people out there that strive, and I happen to be good friends with them here in the YWC, that strive to overlook Benoit's final days and focus on what a great wrestler he was. And nobody's going to deny that Benoit in the ring was a great wrestler, and out of the ring, you know, his actions and his lifestyle choices leave something to be desired, for sure. So there's almost a dissection between Benoit the wrestler and Benoit the guy outside the wrestling ring. I'm not sure where, I still to this day don't know where I stand on Benoit. I will be completely honest with you. But then we get to somebody like Kurt Angle, who a lot of WWE fans are jaded that he left the WWE and went to TNA. So the very first time he made a mistake, I believe it was a drunk driving scenario, they were all ready to jump on him. Oh, serves him right for being a turncoat and leaving the WWE. No, if he got arrested for drunk driving, it serves him right for being a dumbass and drunk driving. But, you know, he makes a mistake or whatever, and that stigma follows him because, and this is the truly disgusting thing to say, because he didn't die, we can still make fun of him. If he had died, those same people would be standing up on a manteltop talking about what a great professional wrestler he was, how him being in the Olympics brought, you know, great prestige to the WWE. They would be scraping and clawing to find every nice thing about him that he possibly got if he had passed away in that car accident. But because he survived, because in this case he was unlucky enough to survive, he gets all the screws and nails driven to him because he's still alive, and that's ridiculous. And because of that, people are willing to overlook all the awesome things that he's done in WWE, all the awesome things that he's done in TNA, and the fact that at 40 whatever years of age, he was trying to go to the Olympics again. That's ridiculous. You come to somebody like, I don't know who else, somebody like an Evan Bourne or an R-Truth, who are, you know, kind of low on the card. Nobody really gives a shit. There's no investment in those characters. So, yeah, they get a wellness policy, and fuck off, I'm doing a video. They get a wellness policy violation, and everybody who didn't have a thing to say about them, positive or negative, the day before, is lining up in queue to get their shots in. Because, you know that they've got 2 or 3 or 4 of their favorites that have also broken the rules that they overlooked. So everybody else that's been overlooked up till this point, all the heat that all of those people would have accumulated now falls onto this guy because we don't really give a shit about him, so he makes a good target. That is where the bullshit comes in. That is where, you know, the sympathy that people had for people like Eddie Guerrero, the sympathy that people have for Hawk now that he passed, the celebration that people had for Eddie Guerrero when he overcame his demons, etc., there's not a scrap of that sympathy left for R-Truth and Evan Bourne and people like that, just because they don't make your top 5 or top 10, or they're not the ones you're particularly, you know, tuning into the show to see. They don't deserve your sympathy or our sympathy as a whole for the things that they are battling outside the ring, which they don't have any choice in the matter as to how public their private lives have become. And that in itself is unfortunate. Now we come to Rey Mysterio. I don't have any particular hate for Rey Mysterio, and he's definitely not in my top echelon of stars either, personally. But Rey Mysterio apparently has his 3rd wellness violation. Apparently he's got his 3rd, you know, infringement when it comes to drugs and whatever. And there's people out there lining up to shit on him. There are, you know, the shooters out there, the trollers out there, the burial artists out there that are willing to toss on that 6 feet of dirt and throw away the shovel. That's not right. Because it's too far one way. I don't know how I can say it any clearer than that. It's too far one way. But the other side of that, and this comes down to people that I respect a lot in the YWC, and I really hope they don't think I'm going after them when I say this, but there's people out there that, you know, wouldn't necessarily give lesser people, you know, people that they're not a fan of the time of day in a situation like this. But it comes to Rey Mysterio, and yeah, I can understand them being mad because they're disappointed in their hero, their star, whatever, but they're mad at the WWE for enforcing the rule, and I think that's a bit slanted also. There's all sorts of little things, and it's all... There's 5 or 6 different places you can fall on the opinion spectrum when it comes to somebody breaking the wellness policy violation. Yeah, have sympathy for them, have hope for them, have support for them and hope they pull through what they're doing. At the same time, be realistic enough to know that they brought it on themselves. And to shit on the WWE for that is to misplace your disappointment in a lot of ways. Now, am I saying that the WWE always applies their rules fairly, or TNA always applies their rules fairly? Obviously not. Obviously, John Cena or Brock Lesnar or The Rock could pick up a crack pipe tomorrow on national television, and it would still be pretty hard to get them off television. And that is also unfair. But to shit on the WWE for enforcing the rules on Rey Mysterio, on whoever your popular guys are, as they do for the unpopular guys that you're all too quick to shit on, is misplaced. Is very, very misplaced. And here's where I come down, and here's where I come down to me very personally. I find it very frustrating that half the people out there, or most of the people out there it seems, are willing to celebrate somebody with issues after they've passed, after they've been overcome by those issues. They're willing to celebrate somebody overcoming their issues, or they're willing to shit on somebody just for having issues. And then you come to, admittedly, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Jeff Hardy, who has made a lot of mistakes. I will admit, he's been a dumbass. And cheers to him for coming back from being a dumbass, but he's been pretty damn good since he's been back. And there are people out there that, you know, don't think he deserves to be on lists, don't think he deserves a second chance, don't think he ever deserves to be on TV again, etc., etc., etc. But these are the same people that applauded Eddie Guerrero. These are the same people that, you know, applauded Hawk and wouldn't even, you know, bring up any of Hawk's issues, you know, purely based on the fact that he passed away. So it's another example where I've got a guy in Jeff Hardy who I will admit wholeheartedly has been through a lot of dumb shit, and a lot of it was brought on himself. As a fan of his, I will admit that, but I can turn around, support him, and celebrate the strides that he has made. And there are other people that think he deserves to be blown off the wrestling map because of that. So bottom line, if somebody comes to me this week and says, you know, what do you think of Rey Mysterio's suspension? I don't have a specific thought on Rey Mysterio's suspension. I have a thought in general that everybody that encounters those issues deserves a big slap in the face reality check and support. And I will further on to say that in the YWC, 90% of you fuckers, and I'm looking at all of you, because there's very, very few of you that don't do this, decide, based on your own biases, who gets the support and who gets the shit. And that's one of the big things that's wrong with the YWC. I don't have a thought on Rey Mysterio's suspension, specifically, because I shouldn't. I hope that makes sense. I hope the next video I do is a lot happier than this one. But till then, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. You know the drill. Subscribe up there, talk down there. Keep this conversation going if you want to. I'd rather talk about something happier. But either way, don't be a stranger. I'll talk to all you guys later. I'm tagging out. Bye. Wow.